Timber is a highly versatile and durable building material, providing it is adequately maintained and kept dry. However, if timber becomes damp, there is a risk that wood-rotting fungi can become established. Timber is also susceptible to infestation from insects. These can cause serious structural damage, regardless of whether timber is wet or dry. The importance of regular inspection and maintenance is therefore vital. Unfortunately, unless something obvious is amiss, the only time a thorough inspection of a building takes place is when a property is put up for sale and a valuation survey recommends that a specialist contractor assesses the timber. The surveyor carrying out the assessment must be conversant with all possible causes of decay, so that his diagnosis is accurate and that correct remedial measures, if necessary, can be stipulated. Sovereign Chemical Industries Limited have a nationwide network of approved contractors who specialize in preservation work. In most areas of the country, local authorities, housing associations and other large organizations are in regular contact with these contractors. They are backed up by the Sovereign Local Area Representative and Technical Department, providing a first-class technical support service with laboratory analysis facilities available if required. The primary purpose of the survey is to establish the cause of any excess dampness, whether through rising damp, penetrating damp, bridging of the damp-proof course, condensation, or any other problems. The surveyor must locate any fungal decay or insect attack, establish what is there, where it is, and the extent of the outbreak. Starting externally, look for obvious defects associated with roofs, chimneys, flashings, eaves, rainwater goods, and air bricks, as well as problems with masonry and joinery. Also, check any change in ground levels and the position of the DPC. All of these areas can cause problems that will lead to unacceptably high moisture levels. Once the exterior has been inspected and the findings recorded, the interior of the property is assessed. Begin with the ground floor of the property. Normally, the floor is inspected first. If this is a suspended timber floor, then it is essential that the subfloor ventilation is checked for adequate airflow. The floor itself can be checked with the Sovereign Moisture Meter. This is an easy and reliable way to check for levels of dampness. Should the floor feel springy, then this is an indication of fungal decay to the joists. Feeling the underside of joists will help confirm if a fungal attack is present. There may also be a distinct mushroom-like smell if dry rot has started. Getting below a suspended timber floor is an ideal requirement, but not always possible. A torch and mirror or borescope can be used to check any inaccessible areas. Where the floor is solid, it may have a damp-proof membrane, the efficiency of which will need to be ascertained. For walls, the Sovereign Moisture Meter should be used to determine any patterns of dampness, even if there is no visible evidence, such as deteriorating decorations and plaster. Any problem areas will need to be investigated further to define the cause. If a damp-proof course is required, then Envirotech, a synthetic solvent, or Aquaject, a water-based siloxane, provide the specifier with two superior performing alternatives for various scenarios, both of which qualify for the 30-year protection scheme guarantee. In kitchens and bathrooms, there may be areas where drying out is poor and access can often be restricted. These areas should be carefully checked, and where inspection is not possible, a record should be entered on the survey report. One of the most common problems with modern homes is condensation, which can lead to fungal decay. If the surveyor feels that this is the situation, then he should make recommendations in the report to alleviate this. Roof voids will also require careful checking. Slipped or missing tiles or slates, leaking valley gutters, and problems with pooling on flat roofs are typical starting points for fungal attack. Poor ventilation in a roof void may lead to mold growth. If this continues or is combined with moisture ingress, it could develop into a wood-destroying fungus.
One of the problems that the previous owner mentioned to me, Paul, was the fact they'd had bats in the attic.
The surveyor must determine whether there are bats roosting in roof voids. Bats are a protected species, and various agencies throughout the United Kingdom must be informed of their presence. The surveyor will know the appropriate contact in the area.
Excellent. So will you still be able to go up there and have a look?
Sovereign products are approved for bat roosts, and the local agency will advise when treatment should be carried out. Dry timber with a moisture content of less than 20% cannot be subject to fungal attack. Where the moisture content is above 20%, then timber is susceptible to fungal attack. The source of the moisture will need to be identified, remedied, and procedures initiated to promote rapid drying out of the area. A sovereign electronic moisture meter can be used to confirm the moisture content. Where the moisture content is above 20%, timber will be at risk during the drying out period. However, if the area will be dry within 8 weeks, no chemical treatment is necessary. Should drying out take more than 8 weeks and up to 6 months, then remedial chemicals can be applied to the areas affected. If drying will take in excess of 6 months, then timber must be treated or replaced and isolated from damp masonry. All replacement timbers must be pre-treated. Alternatively, the timber can be replaced using concrete or steel units. Where there is evidence of fungal decay, it will either be an attack of wet or dry rot. There are a number of fungal growths that are classified as wet rots. The survey will identify the characteristics to define whether it is dry rot or a form of wet rot. Wet rot needs a very high moisture content to initiate an attack, but will remain confined to those areas of timber that are wet. Dry rot, as the name suggests, will start with a much lower moisture content, but also has the unique ability to spread to dry, unaffected timber, sometimes traveling through masonry, and the potential threat is much more serious. Therefore, it is essential that dry rot is not misidentified as wet rot, or further damage may result. Furthermore, as remedial work for dry rot is more extensive and expensive than wet rot, it is important that money is not wasted treating wet rot as dry rot. The report must define the type of insect damage present and the need, if any, for treatment. By assessing the damage characteristics to the timber, the emergence holes, their size and shape, and examination of the bore dust in the tunnels, the surveyor will be able to identify the insect involved. He will also confirm whether the attack is active and whether replacement timber is required. Severe cases involving structural or load-bearing timbers should be referred to a structural engineer. Where an attack of wood-boring insect is confirmed as active, the type of treatment will be recommended along with the products to be used. Where there is obvious damage, it may not always be the case that chemical treatment is necessary. With wood-boring weevils, simply controlling the associated wood rot will eradicate the attack. Other obvious infestations may already be extinct, either occurring naturally within the property or before the timber was installed. In each case, no treatment will be necessary. However, the client may request a precautionary treatment to prevent possible future insect infestation. During the survey, a sketch plan should be drawn detailing those areas requiring treatment. The instructions given by the client, together with any restrictions or limitations on the scope of the survey, will be stated in the report. It will outline the findings from the inspection, remedial work required, make appropriate recommendations, and should clearly state any specialist work, building work, and client responsibility. Where dry rot has been confirmed, the report must justify the need for any wall sterilisation, timber replacement, and, where necessary, explain that upon exposure, a further inspection will be needed to determine the extent of the attack. If additional work is necessary, a further quotation will be required. Where remedial work is necessary and the chemical treatment justified, the appropriate product should be recommended. With fungal attacks, the treatment is to prevent further development during the drying out process. The purpose of insect remedial treatment is to achieve an initial penetration to eradicate most of the infestation. The remaining larvae will have to pass through the treated area to emerge as adults. Some may survive, but further infestation of the treated timber will not be possible. Sovereign produce water-based microemulsion alternatives to solvent-based products. Microemulsions will penetrate as far as a solvent, but being water-based in their diluted state, are non-flammable. Where deep penetration is necessary to large cross-section beams or where timber is particularly susceptible, these should be protected with deep-kill timber paste, which will penetrate into the heartwood. Where dry rot has been a problem, the masonry will also need to be treated, and this may involve subsurface irrigation using Sovereign Sovac microfungicidal wall solution. In exceptional cases, where risk must be accepted because it's not practical to remove woodwork embedded within the thickness of a wall, irrigation may be accepted as a palliative on a for want of better principle. This should be highlighted in the report and clarified for guarantee purposes. During the survey, an initial risk assessment will be made. This will take into account the products used, all aspects of safety to operators, occupants, adjacent properties, and the environment, both during and after the contract. Products must have health and safety executive clearance before they can be used. All Sovereign timber preservatives have full HSE clearance. There are various active ingredients available to the industry. The HSE assess the product's efficiency and manufacturer's instructions for use before giving clearance.
Okay, Paul, so this is a report and estimate.
On completion of the survey, a report is presented to the householder. This will identify any treatment necessary. Where a quotation is accepted, a full COSH risk assessment will then be carried out. Any precautionary treatments requested by the householder will be included and identified separately. Once the contract is complete, the approved contractor can offer a Sovereign 30-year protection scheme guarantee. All current insecticides have varying degrees of mammalian toxicity, but are fundamentally safe, provided the instructions and directions of the manufacturer and HSE are complied with. Sovereign Chemical Industries are leading the way by combining Fluorox, the first insecticide with no known mammalian toxicity, and Sovac, a water-based microemulsion carrying solution. All current insecticides used in wood preservation attack the central nervous system of the insect. Sovereign is now introducing a new concept in the treatment of insect attack. Fluorox, developed by Janssen Pharmaceutica in Belgium. Fluorox acts as a growth regulator in insects. It inhibits the production of the exoskeleton, or the hard skin of the insect. When the young larvae attempts to molt to its next stage of development, it is unable to produce a new skin and dies. As Fluorox only affects insects, it is inherently safe for human and other mammals, birds and fish. Additionally, Fluorox does not leach or evaporate after treatment. English Nature, who assessed the suitability of products for use in bat roosts, said of Fluorox that the relative toxicity index is lower than any other commonly used insecticide for wood treatment. Sovereign, part of Elf Aquitaine and Janssen Pharmaceutica Belgium, together providing environmentally acceptable solutions for the future.